Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm out in the pickup truck today. I was intending to make a video out in the yard. I had it's a little bit cool this morning, so I had my jacket on and I was out in the sunshine enjoying the morning. And I'm feeling a little bit under the weather with these allergies and pardon pardon this. As good as I got right now with my eyes and my nose and everything. It's as good as I can give you. But anyway, I was out there enjoying that, and it was just too noisy. Or it was, between the wind blowing like crazy. It is Oklahoma, and we've got storms coming in this evening, and it's windy, and you can hear chainsaws in the background where people are cleaning up after the tornadoes Sunday night. And you can hear a banging. Grandpa was working on the farm truck, and you could hear that banging and just all kinds of farm noises and stuff. And so I thought, well, I'll retreat in here and have our little talk where at least you guys could hear me without that wind rattling through the microphone. I know that most of you don't, it doesn't bother you to hear the animal noises, but this would have been a little bit more to ask of you guys. We're still working on our cleanup from Sunday night. Yesterday we got Tex and Terry's place clean, the majority of it. We had to get to theirs first because they actually had trees down in their driveway that prohibited them from getting out and getting back into their place. We had trees down, but it didn't, we have two ways that we can get into our place, so it didn't bother us at all to wait until after we got theirs. And Tex, he got out and jumped on the tractor, and Terry, she was out there picking up sticks and stuff, and then Blade had to get up in the bucket and be lifted up in the tractor to get some of the limbs that didn't totally break but that were hanging down. And so there was some excitement there. And the road was blocked, the main road, the main dirt road, where we couldn't get from our place to their place on the road, but we were able to just take our farm trucks and go through the pasture and then park at their house and go through the gates. So we had access, but it was quiet out here yesterday because people weren't able to use this dirt road. They couldn't get through, and so the county came out and they cleaned up the trees that were on the road. And I'm probably telling you stuff that I shared with you in the last video, but pardon me if I do. The county came out and they cleaned up the limbs that were in the road, the limbs that were hanging down over the road. And, we're thankful for that. And we have some shaping up to do because they don't shape them for you. They just clean up the mess. And then the utility company, the electric company came out, and I controlled Sadie and Foxy. They wanted to know if the dogs would bite, and I said no, but they'll lick you to death. So Foxy, he did real good and sat by me. Sadie, I actually had to hold her because she wants to go and play with anybody that's in the yard, and she doesn't take no for an answer. So I had to carouse her and keep her busy. So I was able to sit out here and watch the process of them reattaching the guide wires and fixing the sagging electric lines. And if you ever have problems with your electric, storms blow through, tornadoes or hurricanes or whatever, any kind of trouble, if you ever watch those linemen work, you will appreciate the all of the efforts that they make. And it's something to see for sure, and we thank them for it. Dangerous work. But anyway, they were able to get the poles straightened back up and get the guide wires fixed in the backyard. And then over at the road, they had to do some work there because the tornado pulled the whatever that metal pole is that goes in the ground that attaches to the guide wire and holds the pole up. it pulled it up, not totally out of the ground, but it pulled it up to the point where the two electric poles, the one out there was able to sway towards the one at my house, and so the electric lines were dipping low in my backyard, and they got that all fixed, and we appreciate that they came right out that day, the next day, Monday, and got that fixed for us and got our electric back on. But we had to make a lot of plans. Cheyenne and I and Terry, we began to thinking about what we were going to do if the electric stayed off. We thought maybe it would stay off for a while because of those being down, and then this stuff down at Howie's aunt's house, and then on up the road there was more power poles down, and so we thought, well, it might be several days. And so we had generators, but we still were making preparations if we had to get the meat and stuff out of the freezers and begin to can those and make preparations just in case the electric was out a longer term, because we do have our generators, but you know, there's cost and there's availability and all that kind of stuff that you have to take into consideration. So all that got me to thinking more and more about preparations and making sure I'm prepped. I'm going to be canning a lot of meat here in the next few weeks, because in the 1st of November we take off a beef to be processed, and so I need to get the old out to make room for the new. So I have some canning to do anyways, but we were thinking that we was going to have to get all of our canners out yesterday and our jars and stuff, and begin to make those preparations. Cheyenne went to town and got ice in the in Blade's what's that called? Yeti cooler, and then got a few things that we needed just to make things simple, so that we could do our work and put our noses to the grindstone, so to speak, and get all this meat and stuff canned so that we didn't lose it. Well, while she was still at town, the electric came. They got the electric right back on, and so we were thankful for that. And but still, it makes you consider everything that happens in your life. That presents a challenge should always make you take stock of that and examine, are you prepared if that should happen again? Were you prepared this time? And what were your weaknesses? What were the things that you saw that might be something of concern? And believe it or not, as little as our electric was off, because it went off on Sunday night, and it come back on late yesterday. Well, it wasn't late, but late afternoon. It still made you think about, there are things that you need to see through. And then when you're in the midst of cleaning up after a hurricane, or cleaning up after a tornado, cleaning up after wildfires, and then you've got all these other things to take care of too, it's something that you need to get in your mind a process for you to go through. How are you going to take care of your food supplies? How are you going to get the supplies that's going to help you to clean up the mess that's made from the storm? You need gloves, you need good work shoes, you need trash bags if there's stuff blown around that's trash. Now, a lot of our stuff will be burned stuff because it's trees and branches. Now, some stuff can be seasoned and used as firewood, but there are some things that it's just good for just this just to compost. But it's always good to have in the back of your mind those kind of things. And then, with us, we've got a pasture that's got stuff blowed across it, and we're going to have to go out and pick those things up, because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but our cows are kind of like goats sometimes. Sometimes they eat some things they're not supposed to eat, and it can make them really sick. And so we need to make sure that hay wrap didn't get blown out in the pasture. Or there's other little things that for some reason a cow thinks taste pretty good, and they eat it. And we're thankful too that, there wasn't any human lives lost, and there, as far as I know, there were no animal lives lost. Here at Cedar Creek, everybody looks good. The cows are good. The chickens and the turkeys and guineas, quail, nobody's without their feathers. Everybody looks good, and so we're thankful for that. The dogs are good. They're now I'll say Sunday night afterwards, they were kind of looking around like, Mom, what was that? What happened? And then they were looking at all the debris and couldn't figure out what was all those new bushes and things laying in the backyard. But they're okay. They didn't get hurt or anything. After the storms blew through, I was thinking about, my goodness, what else? We've had such a year. And I kind of, you begin to think, well, we've been through, we're grieving and we've had drought. Now we've had the tornado and all these other things. You're like, how many more things can we possibly go through? And I got to thinking about that. And I thought, where's the line drawn in the sand for you? Where is the point where you say, I'm putting down my armor and I'm walking off the field? I quit. When Blade played ball, he had this friend that played and the friend had a bad temper. And if things didn't go his way in practice, he would throw his helmet and he would have a fit and he'd stomp off. And he done that a few times in a ball game. He would take his helmet off and he would throw it and he would mouth and, his coach or another coach, and he would just be beside himself, and he would quit. And he would totally quit the team, totally quit football. He didn't want to play anymore. And we've always tried to tell Blade, or to teach Blade, that when he was playing sports, that he was part of a team. The team depended on him, and we wouldn't let him quit. We said, you started it, and you have to follow through. And we felt like we were teaching him that even in the face of adversity, and they had it because the entire time that Blade played high school ball, we actually, from junior high all the way through high school, every year, but just a couple of years, they would get a new coach. Any of you that's played any kind of sport knows that every coach that comes in has a different set of rules, a different idea of how to make a winning team. Now, Blade was a good football player. Of course, I'm his mama, so I would say he was very good. But their team lost a lot of ball games. Lots and lots of ball games. But they would get down and they would be upset. But by the time the next week rolled around and it was time for football, they were ready to go again. They were fired up. And, the cheerleaders, they would be doing everything they could to encourage them. And the parents and the boosters and everybody was like, we got this, and trying to encourage. And possibly for the same exact results that they had the week before. But they kept going back and going back because they had resolve. They were part of a team. And they didn't have a line drawn in the sand that said, I'm going to get to this point, and after this point, if it doesn't work out, if I don't win this time, I'm quitting. They didn't do that. They wanted to play the game. They wanted to be involved. And I thought, that's something that we need to do in our lives. We don't have a place, or we shouldn't have a place where we draw the line and we say, if this happens or that happens, I quit. I sit down on the sidelines and I quit. Because unfortunately in life, we can't quit. We may go over on the sidelines and pout and have our little fit and let life go on. And we just sit over there on the sidelines. You may decide that you don't want to play anymore. You may decide that everything is looking doom and gloom, and so you're just going to give into it, and you're just going to live, and no matter what, you're going to do what you need to do, and you are just going to live life. Well, you could do that. You could stick your fingers in your ears. And we had a man at our church one time that when things didn't go his way, he was an older man, and things didn't go his way, he would stick his fingers in his ears. Hey, do you want to hear it? I don't want to hear it. And just like a little child, he would stick his fingers in his ears. I didn't hear it, so it's not so because I didn't hear it. But we can't deny, guys, what we're seeing today. We can't deny that things are getting rough. Things are getting bumpy. We're getting knocked around. We're getting tackled, if you want to stick with Blade's football thing. You know, we're not making any yardage, it seems like sometimes. The ball's getting turned over. All of those things in our lives sometimes. We read and we hear the news. We see the things that are going on around us, and we're like, man, why even bother? Well, we bother because we're alive and because we have our families and we have a job to do. We have to make sure that we provide well for our families. That doesn't always mean monetarily. You may not always be able to provide the best of the best for your family. And I'll be the first one to admit, it's tight around here. It's a lot tighter here than it ever has been. You know, Howie was the breadwinner, and I'm the getting buyer. I guess you could say that. It gets tough sometimes. You know, you have to balance your budget. We all have to balance our budget. Everyone. And I think that the nation needs to balance its budget as well. It affects us in all parts of our lives. In the church, I can't really speak for your church, but I can speak a lot for the churches around here. They're not full. They're not full. The sickness that we've dealt with for the last couple of years, they've attributed a little bit to that. But it started before the sickness. It seems like people just don't really have time for that anymore. And they have put those that once served the Lord, for some reason have laid their armor down and they've walked away. And now they're living their life and they don't want to be told any other way. But folks, there's nowhere for us to quit, no matter what the adversity is. Now, I keep thinking back to these storms that we went through the other night. Now, I told you that we got out, it was after 1:30. We were out in the pastures driving around, checking fences, making sure that the cows and calves were okay. And the chickens and the poultry, they were all up at the barn. The barn was good, so we went to check on the cattle. And you know what those cows were doing? Those cows were taking advantage of the mess of trees that had been blown down in the pasture. They were over there. They were not concerned any longer. The storm had passed over. The rain had stopped. The lightning and thunder had gone away. And the cows were standing over there munching away on fresh green leaves. And they weren't backing down. They were right in there and they were enjoying themselves. And it got me to thinking, you know, yes, things look scary. Yes, things sometimes makes you shake your head and think, how much more mess can we get into? Well, probably a lot. But if we're able to see past all of that and be like those cows and take advantage of the good that comes out of things. Yeah, we had storms, tornadoes Sunday night, but we got rain. That was a good thing. You know, my cousin, he lost his job several years back, lost a good job. And it didn't make any sense to him because, you know, he was good at his job. He was faithful to his job. He was a good worker. And they phased his job out. Well, he didn't know what was going on behind the scenes with God. And now today he's a pastor of the church. He's also over a ministry and First Love Ministry, and They go to Peru, and they go to India, and they have orphanages that save little girls. And in Peru, they've started churches all over. And he didn't know what God had in store for him. But if he would have gotten his pink slip, and he would have went home and drew a line in the sand and told his wife, I quit, I give up, look what he would have missed out on. And we'll miss out on things too if we'll let all this mess that's going on today, all the things that come against us to discourage us and to push us down further in the mud. If we allow those things to affect us in a negative way, that to cause us to draw a line in the sand, cross our arms like a little child and say, I ain't playing no more. I'm taking my toys and I'm going home. Think about the things that we could miss out on. I think of people greats like Corrie ten Boom that was in prison in Germany. Think about, had she quit, the many countless people that she was able to reach with her testimony afterwards. Had she said, no more, I'm not doing anything else. This part of my life has been taken from me, and I'm drawing this line and I'm quitting. All the entrepreneurs and those that tried to come up with these great inventions, if they would have quit just after a few times, where we would have been. Think about that. Don't allow the things that are pushing against you. When the other team, going back to Blade's football analogy, when the other team brings out their big line, and they're bigger than you are, and they're stronger than you are, don't let that cause you to quit. Don't let that cause you to throw the football down and say, I'm going home. I'm not trying to go up against them. Because the enemy will always throw something out there that will challenge you. We've got work to do, guys. And the best thing for us to do is to rise above the situation. When I first got out here and I was thinking about what I was going to talk about today, the wind was blowing. I noticed over here is a big patch of morning glories. And on those morning glories, I had a monarch butterfly. Well, it was enjoying getting some nectar, and all of a sudden that wind started blowing, and the little butterfly's wings fluttered, and sure enough, it took off, and the wind caught it and carried it. And I started to watch the little butterfly, and it didn't struggle. It wasn't flapping its wings and trying its best to get back to the flower so it can enjoy the nectar. That's not what it was doing. It kind of just relaxed itself and let the breeze carry it, the wind carry it. And before long, the little butterfly was way, way up in the air, and it just kind of sailed along. And then the breeze calmed down, and here the little butterfly came back, landed on the flowers, and continued to eat. And 2 or 3 times I noticed it happen, and the little butterfly would go back. He or she, I don't know which one it was, but the little butterfly never gave up. He never crossed that, made that line in the dirt and said, I quit being a butterfly because I can't enjoy the nectar all I want to without this breeze blowing me, without the wind blowing me. Nope, he didn't do that. Those cows didn't hide out in the woods down by the creek and say, we're too scared to come out. No, they went right to that green leaves on those trees, and they began eating with all their might. That's what we have to do, folks. We have to keep holding on. Hold the line. I heard that a lot when Blade was playing ball. Hold the line. And they would hold the line, and I loved watching him play. And that's what we have to do, is we have to hold the line. Make sure that we hold the line. Keep going back. Keep pushing on. Keep pushing. You know, this time, Sunday night, we got knocked down. But Monday morning, daylight came, and yeah, there was damage. But we were able to get up, knock the dirt off of ourselves, get busy and get things cleaned up, and we're okay. We could just sit down and say, I'm not doing anything else. I've had quite a year, and then just everything just rot down around my ears. But we can't do that. We have to rise above it. Guys, I know. What have I done today? I've talked to you about butterflies and cows and football. But I hope I made a little bit of sense. I hope I encouraged you guys. Don't draw a line in the sand and say I quit. When it gets this tough, I quit. Because we're going to come through some tough days ahead of us. We've got some struggles ahead. And we have to hold the line. Hold the line. Don't quit. Don't get to the line and quit. Hold the line. Well, this is Josie, guys. I love you. I really do. And until next time, we're gone.